A fractured fan base, a manipulated result that sent the internet into turmoil. McLaren took away the very essence of the word competition at the Italian Grand Prix that Max Verstappen absolutely dominated. So what went wrong? Did they do the right thing? How does this decision affect everything moving forward? Welcome to the Valve Bounce. Damien, how are you, my friend?
Mate, you know what? McLaren can get... Hello. Hello. Oh, a little angry, mate. I'm a little angry. I thought a few days, we don't get to record these straight after. I thought maybe I might have relaxed, but as soon as you start doing the research and you're rereading and going through everything ready for a podcast, I just sit there and just go, how can they keep doing this so poorly?
He's triggered, ladies and gentlemen. Damo is going off. Look, how do they
Yep.
keep doing it? Well, they're McLaren. That's how they keep doing it. And didn't it send everybody into a spin? Twitter went off. Instagram went off. Anytime McLaren posts now, they're getting absolutely slandered.
Yes, indeed.
I suppose let's just recap really quickly what unfolded. Obviously, Max Verstappen took the win in Italy, and what a drive it was for him. How did you see his race panning out, mate?
Mate, just classic Max. Just absolutely, like, I don't know how he did it. I really don't. But it was a absolutely marvelous and effortless drive for a car that shouldn't be in that position. He still managed to maintain the gaps. Obviously took pole, which we thought he might, just based off the fact that, it was going to be skinny wing or basically no wing at all. And yeah, he just delivered it. Although, poor bastard, I don't know if anyone's noticed.
Yeah, there is a bit of that because there's no discussion about Max's excellent drive, and I think we should just take that 5 minutes to congratulate him because it was a great drive. There was a particular shot that they had of him. Is it Lesmo? Those three corners, at the back there, where he was coming through sliding, and it was just like, yep. He is absolutely pushing on the ragged edge, and he drove the wheels off the thing and ended up 20 seconds down the road. Now, I do have a thing about the strategy. I don't think McLaren played the strategy quite right.
Yeah, and you just think about how Red Bull executed on their strategy for what they had to play with in terms of the car, and they just nailed it. There was that slight concern when they pitted a bit earlier that I thought, is this going to bring them undone? Is there some last-minute safety car that's going to hurt them? But it just ended up being perfect. So, yeah, it was well played by everyone in the Red Bull team. Oh, it's just an incident. Yes. And what an incident it was. Yeah, it was. I guess let's touch on it. We'll recap of basically what happened. And
first favourite of the weekend.
Yeah, well, we could compile those as well, but yeah, let's talk about the quality because, he was struggling, and that was the first request of the weekend, of just this weekend, and not even the first of the year. But Oscar was asked to help him get a tow, just to make sure he actually made the cut. Probably would have in the end, but yeah, good teamwork, right? Papaya rules, mate. Let's go.
Papaya rules.
And yeah, so he had a good race, and then there was some questions over the radio to both Oscar and Lando about what they wanted to do with the strategy. One of those drivers basically made the call themselves and said, "Yep, I think I'm going to let the guy behind me, one Oscar Piastri, pit first." So he made the call himself after hearing all the options. Decided to let him pit, and McLaren, what a pit stop. I mean,
mega 1.9 seconds.
1.9.
See you later, mate.
Wow. Great work, McLaren.
Absolutely.
And then, sometime later, when Lando, who was obviously in P2, decided to pit, the front left dude must be an Oscar fan because
I've heard this a little bit.
whoop, yep, done my bit. Meanwhile, the gun is flashing, going, not tight. I'm not tight. I'm not tight. And the dude behind him taps him and goes, dude. He's like, oh, yeah. And that was 5.9 or like 5 something seconds.
Yeah, it was a bit longer than Oscars.
Which then obviously meant that there was a change in position due to that pit stop.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's pretty much it. So it's pretty straightforward. Yeah. I think, kudos to the gun guy who's got $100 on Oscar for winning the championship. But literally, I think, he comes out, I fist bump, the air because I'm like, oh, well, these things happen. Well done, Oscar. Just got to hold him off now. And then that call comes over the radio, mate. That one that we never like hearing. Can we switch positions? We kind of cocked up.
Sorry. I thought we all agreed, Steve. I thought we all agreed on a bad pit stop isn't like that's not part of the rules, right? Yeah.
We'll talk about it later, but for now, can we just swap positions, please?
How about? Oh, of course. I'm not really happy about it, but yes, I will.
I thought you were going to run with these inside dialogue, which was
no. No. We can touch on that a bit later because we can put that under the bundle of Mark Webber / Oscar Piastri. I'm sure that flight home would have been delicious to listen to. But like, what a team player!
Unbelievable.
Just obviously made his concerns. He said, "Hey, this wasn't part of it." And he's like, "Yep, no, we're going to do this." And he's like, "All right, I'm not happy, but it's part of the team. I'm going to do it." Mm-hmm. But I think that is basically where it went really pear-shaped for McLaren, because I think from that moment on, it was only the Sky Sports commentators that thought it was fair. I think the crowd, the online
did not think it was fair. The fact that they booed Lando, it was amazing to see. Not from a good point of view. This is not Lando's fault. I will just say that, right?
Let's be clear on that. Yeah, we're blaming McLaren.
It is McLaren's fault wholeheartedly, but the problem is that the way Lando has whinged and complained and poor me over the last 12 months, maybe a little bit longer since they started getting competitive, has brought us to this point where Lando now finds himself almost as the villain. And McLaren are 100% the villain if you were to look at all the social media comments. As much as people might like the team, they're not doing their brand any favors right now with the way they're playing this.
No, and I guess let's just really touch on the way it does look for them. Now, we touched on Oscar was obviously asked to help in quali. Oscar was asked not to challenge Lando in Melbourne. Now, Oscar is continuously getting these requests. So, are they just looking after Norris, or is it really just a bit of bad circumstance? McLaren making the wrong call, not being just trying to be fair as opposed to biased, or surely they can't see all these decisions they're making and not kind of catch on to the fact that, I don't think we're actually doing this the right way.
Yeah, look, my question always comes back to, if the roles were reversed, would the same outcome apply, right? So in this particular instance, let's say Oscar was in second. He makes the call, tells Lando to pit first. Lando gets the 1.9 second stop. He comes in, he gets the 5.9. He comes out behind Lando. Does that get reversed? Do you think that gets reversed?
Well, I don't. But it is hard for me. I will, we'll call it out. I'm as biased as can be. I am. I want to feel like it is all being done as a fairness, as a play to make sure it's level. But it just feels like that if that had happened, Oscar wouldn't have been, there would have been an ask. I reckon probably the more important point is, do you think Lando would have actually not had a
Adhere
cry
to it?
about it and adhere to it?
No, he would cry about it 100%. It'd be a hungry 2024 instance
Yeah.
where he was crying all the way.
Mm,
I think the team, I'd like to believe, I'm going to place my faith in them. I'd like to believe that they would do it if it was the other way around. But wholeheartedly, do I think it's the correct decision? Because I actually don't think, even looking at it from that perspective, I don't think I would be happy even if it
yeah.
was the other way around, because it's fundamentally racing. And as I said at the start, this is a competition. When you eliminate the competition like that, it's a manipulation of the result. And I get that there's team orders and stuff like that on occasion. I understand it with getting an undercut advantage when they're just trying to cover off somebody else. But this wasn't that situation. Leclerc was not
No.
that close. He was never going to be that close. And
No.
Lando made the decision that he wanted to pit second just in case of a safety car or whatever else, right? He made the call. It didn't work out. There's a level of accountability that has to come with that, right? In a competition, there's a level of accountability. I made the choice. It didn't work out. Shit, I'm stuck behind my teammate. I've got to go and get him.
Yeah.
I mean, secondly, we were robbed of the potential battle that everyone wants to see.
That we're never going to get.
No, not
we're
if they
never
play
going to get
like that.
Correct.
And the other thing is, I mean, you know that it's bad. Like when social media is blowing up the way it is, and it's toxic as hell in some cases, right?
Yeah.
Like that is, you've done wrong. And I hope Andrea, after his comments, actually sees they messed up. But here's Oscar stacking pennies. When can he claim them? When can he cash them in?
Yeah, well, look, I'm not sure. And I'd like to just really play out two things that I just want to be really clear on for people. One is an undercut that is a very deliberate move of pitting earlier to get fresher tires where you get an advantage on certain tracks to put you ahead of your competition. Okay. This was not an undercut. Okay. Lando decided to pit later. So that's the first one I've seen talking points. And secondly, let's just remove this discussion about what happened at a prior race at Hungary and figure out why it is different. Because to be very, very clear about Hungary, they made the call to change strategy for Lando, which ended up being better, and it ended up being a better position, which wasn't offered to Oscar. They reversed those positions because it was played out. The team made the call. They realized they screwed up on Oscar's strategy. They reversed it. This is not a strategy call. This was a call. Well, in terms it was Lando made the decision, said yes, but nothing else about it was other than a racing incident of the wheel gun screwed up. That's it.
Yeah.
Right. And so, I've seen so much of that online that I just feel like people, whether they don't understand it, they're new to it, they don't care as much, they just want to get angry online. I don't know, but there's just so many people that just seem to be lost out there on those 2 points.
Now, thankfully, it's essentially a 6-point swing. So instead of Oscar leading by 37 points in the championship, he's only ahead by 31. But if this had been for the lead, I actually think it would be a different story. I don't think Oscar would have given it up.
Well, I would hope he wouldn't. And it comes down to, people view this as probably less of an impact. So they're saying, Oscar still, has got the lead. He's still doing okay. But these are the moments in championships which we look back on and possibly we go, oh, shit, that shouldn't have happened because something else goes wrong or something, where it falls apart. And they're like, oh, if only we hadn't have done that. And so I think if you apply that this happened in the very last race where they're both still in contention to win a championship, either of those drivers should be saying, no, I'm not swapping it back. And so I would hope that they maybe learn from this and just maybe step out of it a little bit. But yeah.
Yeah, unless it's in Oscar's favour, because I think he's owed one. So,
well, great. It's a great segue from you. Like now, he's owed one, right? What does the owed mean? When's he going to get it back? As you asked, like he's never going to really be able to seem to cash them in. And at what point do you draw the line? Okay, so it's another bad pit stop, right? Swap them back round, and then we're even, or engine failure, or like something major, like do they retire the other car? Like where, on what point do we draw the line? This sort of Pandora's box has been opened up by McLaren of there's too much of that grey area of how do we apply a fairness battle every time? It's almost impossible.
Yeah, you're just manipulating. I mean, look, I don't know. I kind of feel like bookies would have a field day with suing McLaren for, like, it's match fixing essentially.
Yeah.
It's just I don't know. It's not a good look. It's not a good look for the team. It's not a good look for Lando. It's not a particularly great look for Oscar either, other than the fact that he played ball with their asking, which will get him a huge amount of team points in house. I just don't like it. I don't want to see it. It's not Formula One. It's not motorsport. It's not sport in general. And I hope they learn from it. And the only time that they reapply it is when they fix it. I mean, if you take this, honestly, if you take this and go back to Silverstone this year, where they said it was unfair that he got the penalty, well, it's exactly the same. Why did Lando win the race? Reverse.
Yep.
Right? Like,
exactly.
There's no difference to those two situations. That was, silly. Some will argue, oh, well, Oscar did it to himself. I will remind you that Oscar had 2 restarts. He did exactly the same thing at both and only got pinned for 1.
And had done it at a prior
time in Spain as well.
In Spain, as well. So he
didn't get any option.
Fine. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's all a bit bullshit. But this is the sad thing is that this is the focal point on what should be a really good championship battle between 2 teammates who are fairly close, one that's probably slightly stronger overall. So I don't know. It irked me on the night and meant I didn't go to sleep that well. But yeah. Anyway, we'll move on from that.
Well, I just hope my final closing thing. I'm hoping that the pennies that he's banked, I hope that Mark Webber and Oscar Piastri had a little, in the Sopranos, a little sit down with Team McLaren. And I'm hoping that they banked all of their pennies and spent them at that discussion point post Monza to say, don't ever ask me to do this again. We know the rules. We all agree to them, and you broke the rules. So no more Papaya rules. It is now, if you don't start making it fair, if you can't make it fair on both drivers as opposed to what you deem as fair, it's game on, and there's no one helping anyone. So that's what I hope's happening.
We've got 8 races to go from now on. As far as I'm concerned, just gloves off, Oscar. Just gloves off. And if you fence Lando, you fence him. Who gives a shit? This is not about.
That's what we need. That's what we need.
We don't need that. Not intentionally, anyway.
No.
But just these are the things that I think. Yeah, you got to be very clear, and clearly Oscar, as a very smart man, and knew exactly what the rules were, and he made sure that he relayed that back to the team. The mic correctly without being a dick about it or crying about it like some others. So yeah, we'll see, eh? But we had
We will.
another altercation in this race.
Oh,
Carlos Sainz and Ollie Bearman.
yes.
Ollie got penalised for this. Personally, maybe to the letter of the rule, that was the correct. I don't know. Maybe
An idiot says what?
Yeah.
What?
But
How on earth?
In what fucking world, Carlos, did you think Ollie would just disappear?
Well, I mean, you think about how they approached that. It wasn't like it was a dive bomb. They were side by side for the whole way, and that's why I'm so confused as to why the penalty was handed out in one way versus the other. Because to me, Saints needed to give him room. He was there the whole time, and you've just got to make it around the corner the best you can together. That's you know
that was unbelievable.
yeah.
My question is whether Sainz has now completely lost his mind. Like, this whole Williams venture has been a pretty big nightmare for the poor kid. And I don't know if he can. I hope he can regroup because he needs to.
Yeah.
But these little silly things where by chopping noses or, even against Lawson. Now, I know Lawson ran up the track. I'm not going to deny that. But, like, you're putting yourself in these situations ultimately and not giving enough room. I mean, I don't know. It's hard. It's hard.
Yeah,
Racing's always difficult. It's always two.
Yeah, and he's obviously had a couple of bad weeks since coming back from the summer break. That he definitely needs to just reevaluate his competition into corners and just think about maybe let's just try and get to the end. You know, let's
just bag some points, Carlos. Just bag some points, mate.
Well, I mean, you could do it like Oscar did, like that pass around the outside on Lesmo 1 on Charles Leclerc was chef's kiss, like absolutely amazing. And if you haven't seen it, go on the Instagram or Facebook of F1. They've got a compilation there, and damn, that was delicious, Steve.
It was frightening. Watching it live was very frightening. Like, knowing the end result now, it's like, that's an excellent move, Oscar. But at the time, I was shitting bricks. I'll give you the red hot tip.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, this is not going to work.
But the fact that he got around it, like, man, he's got some confidence in that car to just go, you know what, I'm going to plant it around this outside, and there's nothing you're going to be able to do about it. That was an incredible move. And Charles even, I mean, I haven't heard any of his comments, but I'm sure he sat in the car and went, shit.
How the fuck? Yeah, like, well, how do I beat that?
So, it shows Oscar's ability to battle really closely, and come out of it 9 times out of 10, with everything intact. So, very, very impressive from our young Aussie in a New Zealand team.
Yes,
McLaren,
indeed.
you're not British.
Yes,
get your shit together.
We should be listening to a different anthem, I feel.
I definitely think there's a change coming.
Well,
it was very good. Very good. Yeah, well, I mean, look, F1 it was an interesting race. Obviously, we touched on the fact that Max did a sterling job. The other thing that happened was Alonso's suspension failure. That was a bit weird.
Yeah, I'm getting bad vibes of the old Aston and Alonso. Just random stuff happening. He hasn't had a lot of luck recently. Oh, they did all right. Sorry, last race, I must say.
Yeah.
But prior to the summer break, there was just some. It was they were struggling a little bit, and that was really. I haven't actually seen anything post the race about understanding what went wrong, but it was it just didn't seem like it was real. To be honest, I was just like, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was very odd because like you see him come out and you see a lot of force going through that car, but it's nothing that F1 cars don't go through every week. So you sort of like, what happened? Whether they were trialing some new suspension componentry or something to maybe it was lighter or something, who knows? But yeah, definitely didn't work out for him, and it's a shame because he was having a great cracking race with Bortoletto, who again was doing well.
Stand out. Yep.
And outshining his teammate who was stuck in the pit lane. How sad is that Hulk on the bloody parade lap? They're like, Fox, we're retiring the car.
I was like, he's like, you what?
You what?
You really?
Are we serious right now?
Oh, that was the worst, wasn't it? But yeah, Bortoletto did really well again. So another standout performance from him and from Kick Sauber.
Yes.
But
well, I guess that about wraps it up for the F1 chat. We will be doing a podcast on the V8s because they are at the Bend this weekend. So stay tuned for that. But yeah, Azerbaijan is next, Damo. What do you reckon?
Yeah.
That's a
couple of weeks.
Say Carlos, is it Charles' home race from away from home?
Well, yeah, I am stupid. He's had a good history there and some interesting stuff. But that long straight and skinny wings again.
Yeah, but it's also got a very technical area. But you got to be able to overtake like Piastri did to him last year. So we'll just wait to see how it goes.
I think Max said, I wasn't sure if you were going to stick it, and Oscar said, neither did I. I wasn't sure either.
Nope. Gave it a crack.
Yeah.
Came off. All right, guys. If you like this, obviously give it a click to say thanks with a thumbs up. Haha, that's what I'm trying to say. And if you want to follow us on the socials, it is at the Valve Bounce, Facebook, Instagram, blah, 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 blah. You know what it all is. Otherwise, we will see you in the next one.
See you next time. Bye.